Americans are taking on more debt and depleting their savings in record numbers due to inflation and cost of living pressures. And because they're so cash strapped, record numbers are also dipping into their retirement accounts. In this video, Brian and I are going to look at the unforeseen and often unpredictable downside of borrowing from your 401k. If you need cash for immediate financial obligations and you're thinking about taking a 401k loan, it may end up costing you a lot more in taxes, in penalties, and also deplete the nest egg that you will need in retirement. Now, Brian, I want to start with the data. Empower, a large 401k provider, recently analyzed its internal data on 5.3 million accounts and found that 401k loans in quarter three of 2023 increased 2.6%, up from 2.3 in Q3 of 2022 and 1.7% in 2020. It's a big jump there. And then also the average amount borrowed was $10,778.
Fidelity, which is the largest plan provider in the United States, also came out with similar data. 2.8% of savers borrowed from their plans in the third quarter of 2023, up from 2.4% in the same period of 2022.
Yeah.
And as of the shooting of this video, more than 4 million Americans, or 17.6% of investors, have an outstanding loan with Fidelity.
It's a lot.
Look, I get it. I get why people would turn to their 401k for money when they need it. Compared to high interest debt like credit cards, 401k loans are more attractive due to potentially lower interest rates and the absence of a credit check.
That's a key here. That is huge considering the state of debt in American households right now.
Exactly.
So while borrowing from your 401k might seem like a viable solution in the short term and also comes with perks like no credit check, the long-term consequences can be really costly.
Yeah, you bet they are.
So let's talk about it. Let's get into it.
Here's the thing. When you need the money for an emergency, it's often all you can do is focus on that, right?
Yeah, for sure.
All you can think is about getting it and getting it now. But there are a lot of factors a lot of people overlook out there. And if you're not aware of the potential fallout of your decision to borrow, you're in for a rude awakening. Some of these factors you can't control or even plan for them. But knowing the potential consequences up front may help you plan for the unexpected or even make you change your mind about taking the 401k loan in the first place.
All right, let's go through them.
The first one is taxes and penalty. If you fail to repay the 401k loan within the specified time frame, you may face substantial taxes and penalties. This can significantly erode the amount available for your retirement, as well as create an additional financial burden to you.
But if you pay off the loan during the specified time frame, you're not going to have to pay those penalties, right?
Correct. And you won't have to pay taxes either, as the loan was paid off.
Got it.
It's not a distribution if you pay it off, but that's the key to this. You have to make sure you can pay off the loan in that time frame.
Got it.
This leads me to the second factor to be aware of, the one you can't control. And that is, what happens if you have to repay the loan faster than anticipated?
Oh.
This could happen in the event of a job loss, or if you move jobs and transition to a new employer. In the case of a job loss, sometimes you have no control over this.
Yeah.
Perfect example. Archway cookies. Everyone remembers the financial crisis of 2008, right? At Archway in October of 2008, the average employee who'd worked there had an average of 26 years of tenure.
Wow.
So,
they've been there a long time.
Long time. That's the average person. So the day shift goes home an hour early to allow for cleaning of the plant, which is normal. Afternoon shift, they show up to a locked gate.
Holy cow.
This actually happened. 401ks were frozen as the company was heading into bankruptcy. You realize the 401k is an asset of the company. And if they filed bankruptcy, the judge could bring the 401k into the bankruptcy and freeze the accounts. Okay. If you had worked there and you had a 401k loan, guess what? It's now due.
Yep.
Let me ask you, Michelle. Could you pay back the loan immediately after just losing your job and you're within 2 months of a holiday?
Nope, probably not.
And because of the bankruptcy, unemployment was delayed and they didn't get their unemployment even till after the holidays.
Oh my gosh.
It was pretty bad.
They definitely probably couldn't pay it back if they weren't getting unemployment or any sort of.
It was bad. It was really bad.
Oh my gosh. Okay. So this is probably the worst case scenario,
Yeah.
but I think the message here is clear. You don't know when you're going to lose your job or how bad it will be.
No, you don't. Or if you get hurt and can no longer work, this is the unpredictable downside of borrowing from your 401k.
That's actually a good one too. If you get hurt, you've been
Right.
injured and you can't work anymore. All right. So let's talk about what happens if you can't pay the loan back in the specified time frame, or if the loan is just called in immediately, like in the case of Archway.
Yeah. If you can't pay back the loan, you'll be subject to taxes on the outstanding balance and an early 10% withdrawal penalty if you're under 59 and a half, because it's now considered a distribution.
Okay.
And that means it's taxed as ordinary income.
Oof.
So let's say you take out a loan, $10,000, and you can't pay back the remaining $5,000 by the time the loan is due. That means you have to pay taxes on that $5,000 plus the 10% penalty if you're under age 59 and a half.
But if you're over 59 and a half, there's no penalty, right?
Yeah, that's correct.
All right.
If you're 59 and a half and older, there's no 10% penalty if you can't replace the funds that you borrowed. But you'll still owe taxes on the $5,000 you couldn't pay back. But it gets worse. Let's talk about the tax situation. Under the Tax Cuts and Job Acts, TCJA, passed in 2017, 401k loan borrowers have until the due date of their tax return for the year of distribution to pay it back. So in the case of Archway Cookies, anyone who had an outstanding 401k loan had until the 2009 tax deadline to pay it back. But when taxes were due in April of the next year, many who couldn't pay back the loan had to take out another distribution just to pay the taxes on the loan. And guess what? That created a taxable event for the following year.
Oh my word. Okay, so I could see how this just could snowball in certain situations. I mean, Archway, but there's others as well. You're having to
Right.
borrow to cover the taxes, which creates another taxable event, and then you have to borrow again, and it can keep going.
Yeah, snowball effect. Again,
Ooh,
Archway is basically an extreme example, but companies shut down all the time,
they do.
go into bankruptcy, and people lose their jobs. This happens. This is life. This could
Right.
happen to you. And that's why we're doing this video. You need to know the potential consequences of taking a 401k loan before you do it.
If you have to do it, if you really, really need the money, you have to do it, right?
Right.
But
Exactly.
really, it's about going into this with eyes wide open rather
Exactly.
than just know what's on the table, what can happen. All right, so Brian, another long-term consequence is mentioned it earlier in this video is the possible loss of investment opportunities, which can lead to having a lot less money in retirement when you really need it, especially with healthcare, cost rising, transportation. I mean, just everything in retirement is going up.
Missing out on potential growth and the compounding of the borrowed amount can be massive,
Yeah,
especially if you're borrowing a down market and the market goes up during the time frame you're paying back that money.
yeah.
When this happens, it eats away at your retirement savings and faster than you might think.
It's real quick. Can we? I just it's quite amazing to me. You know, I've done a few videos on how fast the savings can get depleted,
Bingo.
and it's really quite phenomenal. I don't think people realize how fast,
No.
like a blink and it's gone.
One major event. One major event.
Exactly.
That's all it takes. And so I'll end with this. It might not seem like a big deal now to borrow from your retirement savings, but will be later on.
Yeah.
Especially since the one thing that's almost as certain as change is the cost of healthcare and the cost of living aren't dropping anytime soon.
Amen to that. And also the other thing that's always certain is taxes.
Taxes. Oh yeah, don't forget them.
Taxes, taxes, taxes. Listen, if you've made it this far, go check out a video that we did on the 5 hacks to beat inflation and have your money work better for you. If you're looking to take out a loan, chances are inflation has eroded, a lot of your purchasing power. So go check that one out. It's a really great video. It's 5 simple steps. We'll drop
Yep.
that in the description below. Also, make sure you hit that like button if you found this content valuable, and do not forget to subscribe. Brian and I put out videos on the daily that help you make the best decisions for your financial future. All right, Brian, thanks so much for this. This is a really good conversation. I'm just laying the land of, sometimes you have to borrow. If you got to do it, you got to do it, but just know what you're up against.
Exactly.
And
Thanks,
also,
everyone.
thank you
Have a
to
great day.
everyone who watched. Bye-bye.